8-year-old Ethan Carter pressed his face against the viewing window, his eyes wide as he watched alien ships dock at the massive Galactic Council station. The space beyond the thick glass sparkled with stars and the colorful lights of spacecraft from 100 different worlds. Ethan had never seen anything so amazing. "Don't fog up the glass, kiddo," said Susan Peterson, the Earth ambassador's aide who had been assigned to watch over him. She smiled and ruffled his brown hair. "Sorry," Ethan said, stepping back but still staring in wonder. "It's just so cool. Dad would love to see this." Susan nodded. "I'm sure General Carter would be impressed, even with all the space stations he's visited." Ethan beamed with pride at the mention of his father. Everyone knew General William Carter. He had led Earth's forces to victory in the Mars Rebellion 3 years ago, ending the conflict in just 14 days, when experts had predicted years of fighting. Ethan had only been 5 then, too young to understand why his dad was gone so much. Now he knew his father was a hero. "When can I call him again?" Ethan asked. "In about 3 hours," Susan checked her tablet. "Earth time zones are tricky from here." Ethan nodded and turned back to the window. He was lucky to be here. Earth had only joined the Galactic Council 6 months ago as a probationary member. This youth cultural exchange program was the first time human children had been invited to the council headquarters. His mom, a xenobiologist studying alien plant life, had been thrilled when he was selected. His dad had been proud, but worried. General Carter was always worried about safety. "Can I go play with Krill and Zuma now?" Ethan asked, referring to his new alien friends. Susan hesitated. "Stay in the designated areas, okay? No wandering off." "I promise," Ethan said, already halfway to the door. The youth center was filled with young beings from 20 different species. Some floated, some crawled. Some had too many limbs to count, but they all shared the universal language of play. Ethan spotted Krill, a small blue-skinned alien with 4 arms and silver eyes, waving at him from across the room. "Ethan, come quick! Zuma found something cool," Krill called out. Ethan ran over to where Krill stood with Zuma, a reptilian alien with scales that changed color with her mood. Right now, they were excited purple. "What is it?" Ethan asked. Zuma pointed to a small maintenance door that was slightly ajar. "Service tunnel. Goes all through station. We can explore." Ethan glanced back at Susan, who was busy talking with another human chaperone. "I don't know. We're supposed to stay in the designated areas." "Just quick look," Krill said with awe, 4 hands making pleading gestures. "Very safe. My older sibling works on station, tells me all about tunnels." Ethan bit his lip. His dad always said to follow rules in unfamiliar places. But his dad also said to learn everything he could about new environments. "Okay, but just for a few minutes," he agreed. The maintenance tunnel was lit with dim blue lights. It was clean and wide enough for them to walk comfortably. Pipes and cables ran along the walls labeled in multiple languages. Ethan was surprised to see Earth English among them. "See? Very interesting," Zuma said, her scales shifting to curious. "Green." They walked for several minutes, taking turns that Krill assured them he remembered. Ethan was about to suggest they head back when they heard voices ahead. Adult voices, arguing. "Quiet," Krill whispered, pulling them behind a jutting section of pipes. Through a ventilation grate, they could see into a small room where 2 aliens stood facing each other. One was tall with gray skin and wore the official uniform of the Council Security Forces. The other was a high-ranking council minister, identifiable by the ornate symbols on his flowing robes. "The humans cannot find out about the Proxima Centauri operation," the minister said. "If Earth discovers we've been mining their colony worlds without permission, they'll withdraw from the council. The operation is too profitable to abandon," the security commander replied. "The humans are naive. They won't discover our involvement if we're careful." Ethan's heart pounded. Proxima Centauri was where his Uncle Joe lived with his family. They had a farm there. "We should update the extraction schedule," the minister said, inserting a data chip into a console. Ethan leaned forward, trying to see better. His foot slipped, making a small scraping noise. The security commander's head snapped toward the ventilation grate. "We're being watched," Zuma's scales turned fear-white. "Run," she hissed. The three children scrambled back the way they came, hearing shouts and the sound of the room's door sliding open behind them. "This way." Krill pulled them down a side passage. They ran through the maze of tunnels, taking random turns. Ethan could hear footsteps echoing behind them. "Split up," Zuma suggested. "Meet at Youth Center." Before Ethan could protest, his friends darted down separate passages. Left alone, he kept running, turning corners until he found himself in a wider tunnel with numerous doors. He tried one and found himself in a small control room filled with screens and blinking lights. Breathing hard, Ethan looked at the displays. One showed a map of the tunnels. He could use that to find his way back. Another showed the data the minister had been accessing. Words like unauthorized mining, resource extraction, and human colonies jumped out at him. Ethan pulled out his small tablet device, a gift from his father, and quickly connected it to the console, copying files just as his dad had taught him, for emergencies. He wasn't sure what he was looking at, but he knew his father would understand. The door slid open. The security commander stood there, eyes narrowed. "A human child," he said coldly. "How unfortunate." Ethan backed away. "I'm sorry. I got lost. I'll go back to the youth center now." The commander stepped inside, letting the door close behind him. "What did you hear, boy?" "Nothing," Ethan lied. "I was just playing with my friends." The commander's eyes flicked to the screens, then to Ethan's tablet. "You've accessed restricted files. That's a serious offense." "I didn't mean to," Ethan said, fear creeping into his voice. "Please, my dad is General Carter. He can explain." The commander froze. "General William Carter, Earth's military commander?" Ethan nodded, hope rising. Everyone respected his father. But the commander's expression hardened. "Then this is even more serious than I thought." He touched his wrist communicator. "Minister, we have a problem. The witness is General Carter's son." A pause, then the commander's face grew grim. "Understood." He looked at Ethan with cold eyes. "Come with me, boy. We need to move you to a secure location until we decide what to do." Ethan clutched his tablet. "I want to go back to Susan. The Earth people will be looking for me." "You'll be returned soon," the commander said, not meeting his eyes. "First, we must ensure you understand the importance of Council security protocols." Ethan followed the commander out of the control room and down a different tunnel. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. His father always told him to trust his instincts. "My dad says I shouldn't go anywhere with strangers without telling my guardians first," Ethan said, stopping. The commander turned, his patience visibly thinning. "Your father is not here, human child. On this station, Council security has authority." Ethan took a step back. "I think I should go now." "That is not an option." The commander reached for him. Ethan turned and ran. He was small and quick, ducking under the commander's grasp and sprinting back the way they had come. He could hear the alien shouting behind him. The tunnel led to a junction with a transport tube, the station's internal transit system. Ethan jumped inside, hitting the emergency close button. The doors began to shut. The commander reached the doors just as they were closing. "You've made a terrible mistake," he snarled, forcing them open with powerful arms. Ethan backed away, holding up his tablet like a shield. "My dad will find out what you're doing on the colonies." The commander's expression changed from anger to cold calculation. He spoke into his communicator again. "Initiate malfunction protocol in transport. Tube 7. Ethan felt the tube lurch. Warning lights began to flash. "What are you doing?" Ethan asked, fear making his voice shake. "Creating an accident," the commander said, stepping back from the closing doors. "Tragic, but necessary. The Galactic Council sends its condolences to General Carter." The doors sealed shut. The tube began to move faster than normal, the lights flickering. Ethan tried the emergency stop, but nothing responded. As the transport tube hurtled down its track, Ethan clutched his tablet to his chest and thought of his father. General William Carter never gave up. Neither would he. But some battles can't be won, even by the children of heroes. General William Carter stood perfectly still as rain fell on the cemetery. The small coffin was being lowered into the ground. His son, his only child, gone. Linda Carter sobbed quietly beside him, leaning against his shoulder. William kept his face blank, but inside, a storm was building. The official Galactic Council report called it an accident, a transport tube malfunction, a tragic event that no one could have prevented. William didn't believe it for a second. "I'm so sorry for your loss, General," said Admiral Patricia Winters, stepping up beside him after the ceremony. Her uniform was spotless despite the rain. "The President sends his condolences. He wants you to know Earth will continue diplomatic relations with the Council. We can't let this tragedy affect our position in galactic politics." William looked at her, his eyes cold. "My son is not a diplomatic inconvenience, Admiral." Winters lowered her voice. "No one is saying that. But you know how fragile our standing is with the Council. We're still probationary members. We can't rock the boat." "Is that all?" William asked. Winters hesitated, then nodded and walked away. Linda squeezed his arm. "She's just doing her job, Will." "So am I," he said quietly. The mourners gradually left, offering awkward words of comfort. William and Linda stood alone by the grave as cemetery workers began filling it with earth. "I want to stay a little longer," Linda said. William nodded. "I'll wait in the car." In the privacy of the vehicle, William checked his secure phone. A message was waiting. "Need to talk. Not secure channel. My place. Tonight. Alan." Major Alan Douglas had been William's friend for 20 years. He was currently stationed on the Galactic Council headquarters as Earth's military liaison. If he had information, it would be reliable. Later that night, after Linda had finally fallen asleep with the help of medication, William drove to Alan's small apartment on the outskirts of the city. Alan looked terrible. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, and he hadn't shaved in days. "I'm sorry about Ethan," he said, letting William in. "He was a great kid." William nodded. "What do you have?" Alan checked that his security jammers were working, then pulled out a small data chip. "I risked my career for this. Had to call in every favor I've built up over 3 years at the station." He inserted the chip into a secure viewer. Grainy, security footage appeared, showing maintenance tunnels in the Galactic Council station. "They erased most of the recordings," Alan explained, "but I found backup files in a secondary system." William watched as the footage showed Ethan and 2 alien children running through the tunnels, then Ethan alone entering a control room, then a Council security commander entering after him. "What was Ethan looking at in that room?" William asked. "Don't know. But that commander is Zexthul. He's head of internal security, reports directly to Council Minister Dravmore." The footage jumped ahead, showing Ethan running again, the commander pursuing him. Ethan entering a transport tube, the commander speaking into a communicator, then the tube speeding away much faster than normal. The next footage shows the tube malfunctioning and crashing. Alan said quietly, "I didn't think you needed to see that part." William's hands gripped the edge of the table so hard his knuckles turned white. "Play it." "Will, play it." Alan reluctantly advanced the footage. The transport tube moved at dangerous speed, then suddenly the track mechanism failed. The tube crashed into a maintenance bay. Emergency crews rushed in. Then the footage ended. "There's more," Alan said. He pulled up another file. "Audio only." "The witness has been neutralized," came the commander's voice. "The accident story is in place. Any evidence of what he saw?" This was a different voice. "None. His tablet was destroyed in the crash." "Good. We can't let Earth discover the mining operations. Proceed as planned. The council meeting will never hear of this." William's face was like stone. "Send me these files." "Already done. Secure transfer to your military account." "But Will, this is explosive stuff. What are you going to do?" William stood up. "First, I'm going to call in my team. Your special ops squad? They're scattered across 3 star systems." "They'll come," William said with absolute certainty. Then I'm going to find out exactly what they're hiding about these mining operations. And then I'm going to bring down everyone responsible for my son's death. Alan looked worried. The Council represents 500 species. They have fleets that could obliterate Earth. They should have thought of that before they killed my boy. The next morning, William visited Ethan's grave alone. The fresh dirt was now covered with flowers from the funeral. I'm going to find the truth, he promised quietly. And those responsible will face justice, that's a promise, son. His secure phone vibrated. 3 messages, all responding to the emergency recall code he had sent out last night. From Frank Morrison. On my way, 36 hours. From Olivia Reyes. Coming home, whatever you need. From Daniel Patel. Already booking transport. Tell me what tech to bring. His old squad. The best soldiers he had ever commanded. They had followed him through the bloodiest days of the Mars Rebellion. They would follow him now. As William walked back to his car, another vehicle pulled up. Admiral Winter stepped out. General, I've been looking for you. There's something you should know. William waited, face expressionless. The Council is sending a special envoy to Earth. They want to present a formal apology and a substantial compensation package to you and your wife. How thoughtful, William said, voice flat. This is important, Will. The President wants you at the ceremony. It would show unity, help cement our position with the Council. William stared at her. You want me to smile and shake hands with the people who murdered my son? Winters lowered her voice. We don't know it was murder. Accidents happen, even on high-tech space stations. I know what happened to my son. If you have evidence of foul play, you need to turn it over through proper channels. Let diplomacy work. William turned to leave. I'll think about the ceremony. Winters called after him. Don't do anything rash, General. That's an order. William didn't look back. Orders had never stopped him before when something needed to be done. 3 days later, William's old team gathered in a secure location, a small cabin in the mountains that belonged to William's family. No electronic devices were allowed inside. Frank Morrison was built like a boxer, with a scarred face and steady hands. Olivia Reyes was smaller, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Daniel Patel was thin and nervous, always fidgeting with some piece of technology. William showed them the footage Alan had provided. Jesus, Frank whispered when it ended. They killed him in cold blood. And covered it up, Olivia added. The official report mentioned nothing about him being chased. Daniel was already working on a secure laptop. I'm checking into these mining operations they mentioned. If they're doing something on our colony worlds without permission, that's a direct violation of our treaty with the Council. William nodded. We need more information and we need to move carefully. The Council has spies everywhere. What about Linda? Olivia asked gently. Does she know what you're planning? She knows I'm investigating. She doesn't know how far I'll go. William looked at each of them. This won't be sanctioned. If we're caught, Earth will deny any knowledge of our actions. We'll be labeled rogues, possibly traitors. Frank snorted. Wouldn't be the first time. I'm in, Olivia said. Daniel nodded. For Ethan. William unfolded a star chart on the table. First, we need a base of operations, outside Earth's jurisdiction but close enough to move quickly. I'm thinking the Kuiper Belt. The mining outpost, on Eris, Frank suggested. I know the security chief there. He owes me a favor. Good. Daniel, we'll need untraceable communications and a ship that won't appear on Council scanners. Daniel grinned. I've been working on some stealth tech. Not officially approved yet, but it works. Olivia, we need intelligence. Council movements, security protocols, everything. She nodded. I still have contacts from my time at the embassy. William placed a hand on the star chart, right over the section showing the Galactic Council headquarters. They think they're untouchable. They think Earth is weak and will accept whatever story they're told. His team watched him, waiting for orders. They're about to learn that they killed the wrong boy, William said quietly. My son, and they have no idea what's coming for them. The abandoned mining station on Eris had become their home for the past 2 weeks. General William Carter looked at the star maps projected on the wall of their command center. Red dots marked confirmed Council mining operations on human colony, worlds. There were 12 of them now. Another one, Olivia Reyes said, entering the room with a datapad. Tracking signals from Proxima Centauri show heavy machinery being moved into the northern continent. Right where Ethan's uncle has his farm, William nodded. His brother-in-law Joe had mentioned strange noises at night, but the local authorities had found nothing. Now they knew why. "How's Linda?" Frank Morrison asked, looking up from cleaning his plasma rifle. "Holding up," William said. "She's using her position at the xenobiology lab to access council records. She found some interesting financial transfers between Minister Dravmore and mining corporations." Daniel Patel rushed into the room, his eyes bright with excitement. "The stealth upgrades on our ship are complete. The UES Vengeance is now invisible to all standard council scanners." William allowed himself a small smile. The ship had been borrowed from Earth's reserve fleet, with all identifying markers removed. Admiral Winters would have a fit if she knew. "Good work. We leave in 6 hours for the Arcturus outpost. Our source says Commander Zexathul will be there for an inspection." Frank grinned. "Time to ask him some questions?" "Time to get answers," William corrected. The Arcturus outpost floated in space near the jump gate to Council territory. It was mainly a refueling station with a small security force. The UES Vengeance approached silently, its new stealth systems making it invisible to the outpost's scanners. Olivia monitored communications while Daniel disabled the security feeds, using a virus he had created. William and Frank put on spacesuits designed to look like Council maintenance workers. They docked at a service airlock and entered the station undetected. "Security office is on level 3, William said through their private comm channel. "Zexathul should be there now according to the schedule." They moved quickly through the maintenance tunnels, avoiding the few staff members walking the corridors. William felt a pang as he thought of Ethan running through similar tunnels, scared and alone. 2 guards outside the security office, Frank reported, peering around a corner. "Standard council weapons." William pulled out a small device Daniel had made. "Let's introduce a little confusion." He activated the device, which sent a false fire alarm to the station's systems. Warning lights began flashing, and an evacuation announcement blared through speakers. The guards looked at each other in confusion. One ran toward the main corridor to check what was happening. The other stayed at his post. "I'll take him," Frank whispered. "You get inside." Frank moved with surprising speed for his size. In seconds, he had the guard in a chokehold. The alien struggled briefly, then went limp. "Stunned, not dead," Frank confirmed, lowering the guard to the floor. William entered the security office. Commander Zexathul was alone inside, speaking urgently into a communicator about the alarm. He froze when he saw William. "Who are you? This area is restricted during..." William removed his helmet. "Do you remember me, Commander?" Zexathul's 4 eyes widened in recognition and fear. "General Carter, how did you get in here?" "The same way my son got into your maintenance tunnels. Through a door someone left open." The alien reached for an alarm button, but William was faster. He pinned Zexathul's arm to the desk. "You're going to answer some questions," William said, his voice deadly calm. "About mining operations on human colonies, about corrupt officials, about a transport tube that shouldn't have malfunctioned." "I don't know what you're talking about," Zexathul insisted. "Your son's death was a tragic accident. The council has offered compensation." William slammed a datapad onto the desk, playing the security footage that showed Zexathul pursuing Ethan and ordering the transport tube to malfunction. "Try again," William suggested. Zexathul's skin paled. "You don't understand the power you're challenging, human. The council sent you to clean up their mess," William interrupted. "And now you're going to tell me exactly who gave the orders." Back on the UES Vengeance, Daniel and Olivia watched the station through their monitors. "No alarms yet," Daniel said nervously. "That's good, right?" Olivia nodded. "If anyone could get information out of Zexathul, it's the general." Her console beeped. "Incoming transmission from Linda, putting it on screen." Linda Carter's face appeared, her eyes red but determined. I found something. Financial records showing payments from council accounts to Earth officials. Someone on our side is helping them cover up the mining operations. Who? Olivia asked. I'm not sure yet. The transactions are coded, but I'm close to... Linda looked off screen suddenly. Someone's coming. I have to go. The transmission cut off. Should we tell the general? Daniel asked worriedly. Olivia bit her lip. Let's wait until they're back. We can't distract them now. Inside the security office, Zexthul had finally started talking. Frank stood guard at the door while William recorded everything. Minister Dravmore runs the operation, Zexthul said, his voice shaking. The mining yields rare elements that aren't supposed to exist on your worlds. Elements we need for our new weapon systems. Why the secrecy? Why not negotiate mining rights? Zexthul made a sound that might have been a bitter laugh. Earth would demand fair payment and oversight. This way all profits go to Dravmore and his partners. And my son discovered this. He accessed restricted files, saw financial records, mining locations. The minister ordered me to handle it. Said no human child could be allowed to expose the operation. William's hands tightened into fists. So you murdered an 8-year-old boy. I followed orders, Zexthul said weakly. William leaned closer. Where is Dravmore now? Central Council. There's a closed session in 3 days to discuss the human situation. They're concerned about your fleet movements near colony worlds. William smiled coldly. They should be. The station's real alarms suddenly began blaring. Time's up, Frank called from the door. They've discovered the unconscious guard. William downloaded the last of the files from Zexthul's terminal. We're leaving. You're coming with us. You can't kidnap a council official, Zexthul protested. Watch me, William said, pulling out a stun weapon. They made it back to the maintenance tunnels just as security forces flooded the main corridors. With Zexthul unconscious and slung over Frank's shoulder, they reached their ship and detached from the station. Get us out of here now, William ordered as they reached the bridge. Daniel activated the engines, and the Vengeance pulled away, from the outpost still invisible to their scanners. Did you get what we needed? Olivia asked. William nodded, inserting the data drive into their system. Names, locations, proof of the mining operations and the cover-up. On the main screen, files began opening. Maps of mining sites, financial transactions, communication logs, and orders signed by Minister Dravmore concerning the removal of the human security risk. We have him, Frank said, satisfaction in his voice. We have the evidence, William corrected. Now we need a plan to present it where the entire council will hear it, where they can't cover it up again. The closed session, Olivia suggested. If we could get in somehow, with their head of security as our guest, we might manage that, William said. He looked at their prisoner still unconscious. But first we need to check on Linda. She was trying to contact us about Earth officials involved in the cover-up. The main console beeped with an urgent message. William opened it and froze. What is it? Frank asked. William's face hardened. Linda's been arrested, by order of Admiral Winters. The charge is treason against Earth Council relations. His team looked at each other in shock. Winters, Frank growled. She's the one working with them. William turned to Daniel. Change of plans. Set course for Earth. But the council session? We'll have to wait. They took my son. William's eyes were like ice. They will not take my wife. Earth's military headquarters stood tall against the night sky. Admiral Winters' office was on the top floor, with windows overlooking the city. Inside, Linda Carter sat in a chair, her hands bound by electronic restraints. I hope you understand the seriousness of your actions, Winters said, pacing behind her desk, accessing classified council records, sending them to unauthorized personnel. That violates at least 6 provisions of our treaty. Linda stared at her coldly. Those records prove the council is illegally mining our colony worlds. They murdered my son to cover it up, And you're helping them. Winters sighed. Politics is complicated, Dr. Carter. The Council has technologies we need, resources, protection from threats you can't imagine. So you let them kill our children? Your son's death was regrettable. But think of the bigger picture. Earth needs the Council's support. Earth needs leaders with backbones, Linda shot back. Winters touched a console. Your husband has been sighted near Arcturus. Do you know where he's going next? Linda smiled. Yes. And so do you. He's coming for me. Winters looked briefly worried before her face hardened. Security around this building has been tripled. Even William Carter can't get in undetected. You don't know my husband very well. On the other side of the city, the UES Vengeance hovered silently above an empty park, its stealth systems making it invisible to Earth's defense grid. William, Frank, Olivia, and Daniel gathered in the cargo bay. The prison security system shows Linda is being held in Winters' office, not in the detention center, Daniel reported, looking at his tablet. Winters wants to keep this quiet, William said. An official arrest would require explaining the charges. How do we get in? Frank asked. That building has the best security on the planet. William pointed to their prisoner. Commander Zex Thule sat nearby, still bound but now conscious. We have his access codes to bypass the Council security protocols that Winters installed. And we have him. Zex Thule looked up fearfully. You can't make me help you. William knelt to look the alien in the eyes. I'm not going to torture you, Commander. I'm going to show you something. He activated a small hologram projector. An image of Ethan appeared, smiling on his 8th birthday, just weeks before his death. That's who you killed, William said quietly. Not a security risk, not a witness. A child who had his whole life ahead of him. The commander looked away. I was following orders. So were the worst criminals in human history. William stood up. Now you have a choice. Help us and I'll make sure you get a fair trial. Refuse, and I'll leave you to the justice of the families on the colony worlds you've been stealing from. Zex Thule was silent for a long moment. What do you need me to do? 30 minutes later, 2 security officers at the military headquarters service entrance were surprised to see a Council diplomatic shuttle requesting emergency docking. More surprising was the passenger, Commander Zex Thule himself, accompanied by 3 human aides. Emergency meeting with Admiral Winters, Zex Thule said, showing his credentials. Council security matter. Highest priority. The officers checked his ID, then waved them through, not looking too closely at the 3 humans in Council diplomatic uniforms. William, Frank, and Olivia kept their heads down as they followed Zex Thule into the building. In her office, Admiral Winters received an alert about the commander's arrival. What's he doing here? She muttered. She turned to Linda. Stay quiet. Say nothing. Linda watched as Winters straightened her uniform and prepared to greet her Council ally. But the small smile on her face told Winters something was wrong. The office door opened. Commander Zex Thule entered, followed by 3 figures in diplomatic uniforms. Winters started to speak, then froze as she recognized William. Hello, Admiral, William said calmly. I believe you have my wife. Winters lunged for the alarm button on her desk, but Frank was faster. He grabbed her wrist while Olivia drew a weapon. Please don't, Olivia said. We just want to talk. William moved quickly, to Linda using a small device to deactivate her restraints. Are you hurt? She shook her head, embracing him. I knew you'd come. Winters glared at Zex Thule. Traitor. The Council will have your head for this. The Council doesn't know many things, the commander replied. Like how you've been helping cover up their illegal mining operations in exchange for advanced weapons technology. William connected a data drive to Winters' computer terminal. Let's see what else they don't know. Files began transferring, displaying on the large wall screen. Mining operations, profit calculations, the cover-up of Ethan's murder, and communications between Winters and Minister Dravmore, discussing how to handle the unfortunate incident with the Carter boy. You sold out your own species, Frank said disgustedly. Winters lifted her chin. I secured advanced technology for Earth's defense. We are surrounded by potential enemies in this galaxy. What's a few mining operations compared to our survival? And my son? William asked quietly. A tragic necessity. The minister insisted the matter be closed permanently. William's hands clenched into fists, but Linda put a restraining hand on his arm. We have what we need, she said softly. Let's go. You'll never make it off Earth, Winters said. I've already alerted security about possible infiltrators. William smiled. No, you haven't. Daniel has locked down your communications, and by now he's broadcasting everything on these files to every news outlet on Earth and to our colony worlds. Winters paled. You're starting a war. I'm exposing the truth. What happens next depends on the Council. Alarms suddenly blared throughout. The building. We need to move, Olivia said, checking her tactical display. Security teams are mobilizing. William nodded. Commander, you're still coming with us. Zexthul looked at Winters with contempt. Gladly. William turned to the Admiral. You'll be arrested when these files become public. I suggest you prepare your defense. They left Winters sitting at her desk, staring in shock at the evidence of her treason playing on the wall screen. Getting out was harder than getting in. Security forces converged on the corridors leading to the service entrance. Frank led the way, using stun weapons to clear a path without killing anyone. William, this way, Linda called, pointing to a maintenance elevator. It goes to the roof. They crowded into the elevator, security forces firing at them as the doors closed. Olivia was hit in the arm, the energy blast burning through her uniform. I'm okay, she insisted, gritting her teeth against the pain. On the roof, more guards waited. Frank and William moved in perfect coordination, the result of years fighting together. Within moments, the guards were unconscious. Daniel, we need extraction, William called into his communicator. Roof of the headquarters building. On my way, Daniel replied. But we have company. Council ships have just entered Earth's atmosphere. The night sky lit up as sleek alien vessels descended toward the city. They know, Linda said. Dravmor must have been alerted. The UES Vengeance appeared overhead, its stealth systems deactivated as it lowered to the roof. The loading ramp extended. Get on board, William ordered the others. What about you? Linda asked. I'll hold them off. Go. Linda kissed him quickly. Don't you dare die on me. I've already lost Ethan. William nodded. I'll be right behind you. As the others boarded, William faced the council ships now hovering nearby. One opened its hatch, revealing Minister Dravmor himself, surrounded by armed guards. General Carter, the minister called. This is an act of war against the Galactic Council. Surrender now, or we will be forced to destroy your vessel and everyone aboard. William stood tall on the roof, facing the being who had ordered his son's death. Minister Dravmor, he called back. I'm not here to start a war. I'm here to finish one. The war you started when you killed my son. Behind him, the engines of the Vengeance roared to life. Minister Dravmor raised his hand, and his guards aimed their weapons at William. The night air hummed with energy as council ships surrounded the building. You have 10 seconds to surrender, Dravmor called. 9, 8. William touched a small device on his wrist. Now, Daniel. Suddenly, the night sky lit up with bright flashes. From orbit, dozens of Earth warships appeared, dropping their stealth fields as they descended into the atmosphere. Council sensors blared warnings as the Earth fleet surrounded them. Minister Dravmor's confident expression faltered. What is this? William smiled coldly. Meet Admiral Gregory Porter, commander of Earth's Third Fleet. Unlike Admiral Winters, he doesn't take bribes from alien governments. The largest Earth warship moved into position directly above them, its weapon systems locked onto Dravmor's vessel. A voice boomed across all communication channels. This is Admiral Porter of the Earth Defense Force. Minister Dravmor, power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. This is not a request. Dravmor sputtered with rage. You dare threaten a council minister? I have diplomatic immunity. Not for murder, William replied. Not for illegal mining operations, and certainly not after the evidence has been broadcast across the galaxy. Linda appeared at William's side holding a datapad. Every news service in Council space has received our files. The feeds are lighting up with the story. Council Minister orders murder of human child to cover illegal activities. It's trending pretty heavily. On Dravmore's ship, an aide whispered urgently in the minister's ear. The minister's face darkened. This isn't over, Carter, he said, his voice shaking with anger. Oh, it's just beginning, William replied. But it won't end the way you think. The Council ships began to retreat upward, but they were quickly surrounded by Earth vessels. Admiral Porter's flagship extended docking clamps, locking onto Dravmore's ship. You're not going anywhere, Porter's voice announced. By authority of Earth's government, you are under arrest for the murder of an Earth citizen and violations of our territorial sovereignty. William turned to Linda. Time to go. We have one more stop to make. 2 days later, the UES Vengeance approached the Galactic Council headquarters station. This time, they didn't use stealth. Instead, they transmitted their identification openly, requesting emergency docking for a diplomatic delegation. They're going to arrest us the minute we step off the ship, Frank warned as they prepared to disembark. Let them try, William replied. He was dressed in his full formal military uniform now, his medals and rank insignia gleaming. Linda, are you sure about this? She nodded. Her face was pale but determined. I want to look them in the eyes when the truth comes out. Commander Zexathul stood nearby, now wearing simple civilian clothes. The full council is in session now discussing the situation on Earth. They'll be voting on sanctions against your planet. Perfect timing, William said. When they stepped off the ship, a squad of council security officers was waiting. General William Carter, the lead officer said formally. You are to be detained pending charges of kidnapping a council official and interfering in council affairs. William handed him a data chip. I have diplomatic credentials from Earth's government, and I have testimony to present to the full council under Article 7 of the membership charter. The officer looked uncertain. I have orders to check with your superiors, William suggested, unless you want to create an interplanetary incident. After several tense minutes of communication, the officer nodded reluctantly. You may proceed to the council chambers, but you will be escorted at all times. William smiled. Of course. The Great Council Chamber was a vast amphitheater with hundreds of representatives from across the galaxy. As William's group entered, a hush fell over the assembly. At the center podium, a tall insectoid alien was speaking about human aggression and the illegal detention of Minister Dravmore. William stepped forward. I request the right to address this council. The senior counselor, an ancient being with translucent skin, peered down at him. General Carter, you have caused quite a disruption in galactic affairs. Not as much as the murder of my son, William replied, his voice carrying through the chamber. Murmurs spread through the assembled representatives. These are serious allegations, the senior counselor said. Do you have proof? I do. William nodded to Daniel, who activated a holographic projector. The entire chamber watched in stunned silence as the evidence unfolded before them. Security footage of Ethan's last moments, Zexathul's confession, financial records showing the illegal mining operations, communications between Dravmore and Winters planning the cover-up. When it ended, the chamber erupted in angry shouts and demands for explanation. Commander Zexathul stepped forward. All eyes turned to him. I carried out the orders, he said simply. I killed an innocent child to protect corrupt officials. I am prepared to accept punishment for my crimes. Linda moved to stand beside William. My son was 8 years old. His only crime was being curious. For that he was murdered. And this council did nothing. The senior counselor raised his hands for silence. These are grave charges with substantial evidence. Minister Dravmore will face investigation and trial. And the mining operations? William asked. Will cease immediately, with full reparations to the affected colonies. William nodded. There's one more thing. The council needs new leadership. Leaders who value justice over profit, who see humans as partners, not resources to be exploited. He turned to address the entire assembly. My son believed in friendship between species. He died because corrupt officials feared that future. Don't let his death be meaningless. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, one by one, representatives began to stand in the traditional council gesture of respect and agreement. The senior counselor observed this and nodded slowly. It seems the will of the council is clear. We shall form a special committee to reform our governance with representatives from all member worlds, including Earth. After the session ended, William and Linda stood at a viewing window much like the one where Ethan had stood weeks earlier watching the stars. Do you think it will change anything? Linda asked softly. It already has, William replied. The mining operations have stopped. Dravmore and Winters will face justice. The council is being reformed, but Ethan is still gone. William put his arm around her shoulders. Yes, but his death wasn't for nothing. He may have saved millions of lives by exposing the corruption before it led to war. Frank approached them. Admiral Porter just called. Dravmore's trial is set for next month. Earth has been granted full membership in the council, not just probationary status. And Zexathul? Linda asked. He'll serve time, but his cooperation is being considered. He seems genuinely remorseful. William nodded. Sometimes justice is more important than revenge. A young alien approached them hesitantly. A security officer, judging by the uniform. General Carter, may I speak with you? William turned. Yes? During your investigation, you captured my station. You had me at your mercy, but you didn't harm me. You told me to remember that a human showed mercy when my leaders showed none. William remembered the young officer he had encountered during one of their intelligence-gathering missions. I went home and researched your son, the alien continued. I saw his pictures, learned about his interests. He wasn't just a human child. He was Ethan, a person with dreams and hopes. The officer handed William a small crystal. We're starting a youth exchange program in his name, to build real friendship between our worlds. I thought you might want to know. Linda took the crystal with trembling hands, as the officer walked away. William looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, countless children like Ethan were growing up in a galaxy that might now be a little safer, a little more just. He changed everything, William said softly. One small boy. Linda leaned against him. They never knew who they were dealing with, not Ethan, and not his father. William smiled. Let's go home. The UES Vengeance departed from the council station the next day, heading back to Earth. But unlike its arrival, it was escorted by ships from a dozen different worlds, not as guards, but as an honor guard for the family who had exposed corruption and changed the Galactic Council forever. And on a small grave on Earth, flowers appeared from across the galaxy, tributes to a curious boy whose death had opened the door to a better future for all species.